of people learned how to shelter in place, the global economy slowly ground to a halt. Fears of economic recession dominated corporate-owned news media. More pressingly, people around the world contemplated how to secure food and shelter in times of mass layoffs, rising unemployment, and underfunded health systems. It seemed the whole world was going mad as visions of apocalyptic doom saturated social media and people engaged with the proximity of death. As I put the finishing touches to this book in August 2021, the pandemic still rules, with Brazil and particularly India devastated by surging cases and lack of adequate oxygen and hospital beds. It is impossible to accurately predict how many hundreds of thousands of people will die of COVID-19. Even with the rolling out of numerous vaccines in the first half of 2021, how quickly the global population will receive medicine to stop the mutating virus remains a big question. Vaccine nationalism is a new concept that is dominating the global political economy and recalibrating asymmetrical power relations between rich and poor nations. The United States, for instance, has been hoarding vaccines and offers third booster shots, while most of the countries in Africa have not vaccinated even 10% of their populations. No one knows how the pandemic's impact will play out over the coming months and possibly years, but everyone knows it will harm marginalized communities of color and poorer communities disproportionately. What is certain is that climate change, which both contributes to the pandemic and exacerbates its unequal impacts, looms more starkly than ever before as a coming crisis. In August 2021, the United Nations issued a very significant scientific report, what has been called a Code Red for Humanity, arguing for an immediate global reduction in greenhouse gas emissions to stall inevitable planetary warming. However, firefighters remain periodically in lockdown under quarantine, temperatures continue to rise, and out-of-control fires continue to burn. More insidiously, in countries such as the United States, Brazil, and Australia, environmental protections have been rolled back as societies focus on getting their economy back on track. Even with the ousting of Donald Trump in late 2020 and emerging hope with the US rejoining the Paris Agreement and making climate change a central political issue, grave concerns about the planet's future prevails. Reinstating environmental laws will not be easy, with Trump loyalists continuing to deny climate science and Congress opposing reforms through legislative gridlock. Meanwhile, around the world, radical ultranationalist governments are seizing sweeping powers under the guise of dealing with a public health crisis, clamping down on the freedom of assembly and expression, installing invasive surveillance systems, postponing elections, and militarizing the police. These measures indicate anti-democratic governance is escalating. As noted by a United Nations spokesperson, we could have a parallel epidemic of authoritarianism and repressive measures following close, if not on the heels, of a health epidemic. How one fights climate change amid a global rise of authoritarianism becomes a central question explored in this book. It is important to understand how we arrived at the current moment. Many of the issues dramatically revealed by the pandemic have been determining the climate crisis that has been steadily unfolding for more than 40 years. These include the denial of scientific evidence, government inertia, and the mass exploitation by corporations of cheap human labor and natural resources.